Ridgeline, our newest vehicle and their newest fan, Honda.
1, 2, 1, 2, 1, 2. Thank you very much. Appreciate it.
Check.
All right.
All right.
Good.
Presented by the all-new 2017 Ridgeline, our newest vehicle and their newest fan. Honda, official vehicle of the Toronto Blue Jays.
Welcome to Kansas City and beautiful Kauffman Stadium, where the Blue Jays will play the second game of a three-game series. They won the opener last night 4-3. Devon Travis providing all the fireworks. Pair of home runs for Devon Travis, his first multi-home run game of his career. Let's take a look at the rest of the lineup tonight for John Gibbons Blue Jays. Tied for first in the AL East. Top of the order, Devon Travis, and down in the fifth spot, it is Russell Martin. Martin against Duffy has done a terrific job for his career. He's 4 for 8 with a home run and 3 RBIs. And right behind him, Troy Tulowitzki's been on a great run over his last 25 games, hitting over 300 with 6 home runs.
This is 27-year-old Danny Duffy, 7-1 with a .298 earned run average. He has won 6 straight decisions for the first time in his career. He set a new season high in strikeouts with 126. The previous high was 113 in 2014. Just 23 walks this season for Duffy. He has become the ace of this staff.
Coming off a franchise record 16 strikeout game against Tampa Bay last time out. 8 innings of 1 hit ball. Devon Travis fouls it back. Duffy took a no-hitter into the 8th inning. Gave up a leadoff double to Desmond Jennings to break that up. Devon Travis, a .290 average. Fouls that one off the catcher. 28 degrees and a gorgeous evening here in Kansas City. We were all concerned about hot, muggy weather, but it's been beautiful.
Oh, this is very pleasant right here. Devon Travis, I got a chance to talk to him before the game today, and I asked him, have you ever hit 2 home runs in a game? And he says, you know what? I can remember back my junior year in college when I was at Florida State against Stanford in the regionals, I hit 2 home runs. He said, that's the last time that I've done that. Never before as a professional. And he picked a great time to have a 2-homer game last night.
The 14th time the Blue Jays have had a multi-home run game this season. Lorenzo Cain, because of the early start, he's out in right field, having trouble with that sun that's setting over the third base stands. There's a fly ball deep to left. Gordon looking up. He's done it again. Another leadoff home run for Devon Travis. They did it last night. That gives him 10 home runs and the Blue Jays an early lead.
You know, John Gibbons was talking about him before the ball game today, saying, you know what, before he got hurt in Cleveland, he was leading our team in home runs and RBIs and hitting .325. His timing is starting to come back at the plate. He's stronger than people think, and he has just ridden his 3rd home run of this series out of this ballpark. What a great start for the Blue Jays.
Jose Bautista takes a first pitch strike.
Fastball. He turned around a fastball last night. Excuse me, that's a changeup. Out and over the plate. He had a home run off of a fastball last night. He had a home run off of a curveball last night. And now he gets the changeup out of the ballpark.
That's the 16th consecutive solo home run hit by the Blue Jays. That is a franchise record. Jose Bautista singled his first time up in last night's game. Finished up tonight 1 for 4, had a walk in the 9th inning. Bouncing ball, high bounce to the third baseman, Cheslor Cuthbert. 1 away. The Royals have committed 61 errors on the season, and they've been hurt by injuries. Alex Gordon was out for a while in left field. He is back in the lineup. Paulo Orlando, a terrific athlete in center. Lorenzo Cain is back in the lineup, but now he is in right field. Cuthbert, Escobar, Mondesi, and Hosmer around the infield, and the Gold Glover. Sal Perez behind the plate for Danny Duffy.
And over at first base, there's another Gold Glover. That's Eric Hosmer, who won his 3rd consecutive Gold Glove last year. First American League first baseman to win 3 straight Gold Gloves since Rafael Palmeiro did it back in 1997 through 99. He's one of the best.
Great range, and he has a very good glove over at first base. This is Josh Donaldson. He was hit by a pitch in his last at bat in last night's game. Very frightening situation. The ball up and in and hit him on the left side of his face. Fortunately, it caught some of that protective ear flap and diffused some of the brunt of that up and in pitch. Donaldson giving Perez a little bit of a break there. May have taken a foul tip. Ball and a strike to Josh Donaldson.
I'll tell you, it's frightening whenever a player gets hit. And last night, Kelvin Herrera throws really hard, but you can see from that grip it's a changeup. It's 97 miles an hour, and it just barely, like you said, Buck, hit that flap on his earpiece right there. It ricocheted off of his chin. He had a little swelling there today, but he says he's okay. And I'm always anxious to see the guy the next day to see how his at-bats are when you get hit like that. Josh goes down swinging on that breaking ball from Danny Duffy.
That went in Encarnacion. This is a early start here in Kansas City. It's an hour earlier than the start time last night, and the sidelines for the hitters are not very good right now. There are shadows all over the field. The backdrop in center field is in brilliant sunshine, but you can see the shades and how it strobes across the infield.
I'm sure you've played here this time of the day here when the sun hits that scoreboard up there just above the fencing. It becomes very bright. And just like in Houston, the background is just brutal. You just can't pick the spin of the baseball up. Danny Duffy can spin a breaking ball and he can throw a changeup. But that reflection off that center field wall back there makes it very tough on the hitters right now, except this guy.
Devin Travis, 3 home runs in the series so far, a couple of leadoff home runs. John Gibbons may have found his leadoff hitter. Travis batting .328 over his last 32 games with 7 home runs. Line drive to the third baseman, Cuthbert. But the Blue Jays, like they did last night, take a 1-0 lead. Devin Travis does it again. A leadoff home run to start the ball game. His 10th of the season. Under 500, 4th in the American League Central. Lorenzo Cain, good numbers against the Blue Jays for his career, batting .327 and down in the 7th spot. A Gold Glove left fielder Alex Gordon this year 0 for 13 against the Blue Jays with 3 walks and 3 strikeouts. It's been a disappointing season for Gordon as he's hitting .200.
Hasn't been for this guy, and the Jays fans are very happy to see this. Aaron Sanchez makes his 22nd start of the season, and what a season he has put together. 11-1 with a .271 earned run average. That leads the American League. 16th time last time out, 2 earned runs or less in 8 straight starts. He was baffling. Baltimore, 7 innings, just 2 earned runs. He's had other starts where, 2 starts where he's given up just 3 runs. Overall, he's been outstanding for the Blue Jays. I'll tell you, everybody's happy to see him making this start here tonight.
Aaron Sanchez beat Kansas City back on the 4th of July in Toronto at Rogers Center. This is Alcides Escobar. These two have a history. Last year, Sanchez hit Escobar after there were warnings in place in the ball game, and because of that, Aaron was suspended. That's a high pitch. What a play by Tulowitzki. Long throw in plenty of time. Boy, he got a tricky hop, and he made it look easy. One down for Aaron Sanchez.
You know, that's going to go down as a ground out, 6-3. But what a tricky hop that he had to deal with. Made it look easy.
In the outfield for the Blue Jays, Melvin Upton Jr. in left, Pilar in center, and Bautista in right. On the infield, Donaldson back at third base. It was Barney last night. Tulowitzki and Travis up the middle. Justin Smoke makes his 64th start at first, and Russell Martin behind the plate with Aaron Sanchez on the mound. Jesler Cuthbert, the third baseman. Cuthbert was 1 for 3 in the game last night. He walked and scored a run in the 5th. He scored the tying run in the 5th inning when the Royals tied it up with 2 runs. Good breaking ball. 1-2 to Cuthbert.
Boy, that's something that Sanchez can do right there. He can drop that breaking ball on you now. I think about 4 times today, people come up to me, hey, give me a quick scouting report on Aaron Sanchez. It was easy. He's good. He's got a great fastball, and that curveball has been great this year also.
Aaron has a 10-game win streak. He leads the American League in earned run average. He's thrown a career high in innings. In fact, the Blue Jays lead the major leagues in innings from their starting rotation. Tonight, if Sanchez pitches 2 innings, they will pass 700 for the season.
He has been averaging about 7 innings every time he takes the mound this year for the Blue Jays, giving him length and putting up the numbers that he's been putting up. 16 times 2 earned runs or less.
Ground ball. Devin Travis to his left, quickly in time. 2 ground ball outs for Sanchez, and you're going to see that a lot when he is on his game.
One of the best in baseball, and one of the best in baseball away from Rogers Center. You know, I think a young pitcher being able to pitch on the road, that's a mountain to climb, and if you can get up there, you're going to be good. And how about these numbers? 11 road starts this season for Aaron Sanchez. He's undefeated, 7-0, another earned run average. Again, he leads the American League in earned run average. Opponents just not mustering much against Aaron. You know, he looks so confident on the mound, like he belongs, and he just wants to pound that strike zone.
You mentioned the great road numbers for Sanchez. The Blue Jays are one of just 3 teams in the American League that have winning records at home and on the road. Toronto, Boston, and Cleveland, playing over 500 home and away. This is Lorenzo Cain, the right fielder. Cain, for his career, a .327 hitter against the Blue Jays.
You know, even when he throws pitches up in the strike zone, because he's got that great movement, batters can't hit it square, and a lot of times they top it and you get a lot of ground ball outs. When he's down in the strike zone, they swing over the top of it. That's the advantage of having a fastball that moves as much as Aaron Sanchez.
There's a fly ball. That's going to be into the seats, out of play. Aaron Sanchez and Marcus Stroman get more ground balls than any pitcher in baseball. And Aaron throws so many fastballs. The only pitcher in the major leagues that throws a higher percentage of fastballs than Aaron Sanchez is Bartolo Colon.
Their fastballs are the same. Aaron's is about 10 miles per hour faster, but he gets great movement. You can see he can pitch up in the strike zone and not get hurt.
Marcus Stroman will go to the mound tomorrow, and he's been on quite a roll lately. And he and Sanchez, they are the masters at keeping that ball on the ground. I have never seen a ground ball go out of the ballpark. 2-2, 2 outs. Fly ball to center. No problem for Pilar. He is back and makes the catch. The Royals are down in order after 1. Devin Travis has given Aaron Sanchez a 1-0 lead.
Atkinson, Mark Shapiro have made it clear they do not want to see him going around 220 innings. Now, even with the six-man starting rotation, he's not going to be able to get to that threshold and avoid it. So the problem is for the Blue Jays is how do they keep him in the rotation and not have him exceed it? Right now, he's on pace to pitch over 200, and that's not including the postseason. One of the things John Gibbons says they're thinking about doing is when they have an off day and it comes on his start day like next Thursday, possibly skipping over him. They've got to get creative, guys, because they definitely want to make sure that he is healthy and ready to pitch in the rotation if they are in the postseason.
Absolutely, and I think they have so much flexibility now because they have a six-man rotation and they have 3 off days in the next couple of weeks. So you can do a lot of manipulating as you have those off days to work your rotation around. The way it sets up right now, John Gibbons said they're just going to go with a 6-man rotation and everybody will pitch in line. So Stroman will go tomorrow, Dickey, Estrada, and Happ against the Rays. And then Liriano, Sanchez, and Stroman against the Astros.
Same 3 with these 3-game series. You know what it does? It gives them options to mix and match also. That if a pitcher doesn't have very good numbers against a certain team, you can skip him and maybe bring in a pitcher who has great numbers against the Yankees or Tampa Bay or Houston or whoever. You've got some options from here on in, and I think they're in a spot in the seasons where they're not really sure what to expect here. They're going to kind of fly by the seat of their pants, but it's got a chance to work out for them.
I think they're in great shape. They have many options. So Martin hits it high in the air to left. Gordon back at the track. He's just in front of the scoreboard. He's going to make the catch. Russell Martin just missed hitting a home run.
We've been there from the start. Honda, official vehicle of the Toronto Blue Jays. Proud fan since 1977.
That is downtown Kansas City. We are east of downtown by about 5 miles along I-70. Troy Tulowitzki goes after the first pitch and hits it into the seats. You know, talking about the rotation, I think the one thing that John Gibbons and Pete Walker aren't going to do is make a decision before they have to. And everybody wants to know, well, who's going to pitch next week? I don't know. The way it sets up right now, we're just going to go in order, but you never know what this pitch, next inning, tomorrow's game is going to bring. I think they have more options than they've had in the last 10 years.
Yes.
And they can do a lot of things.
Yes, with the off days, with the type of pitchers they have, where they are in the season. Hey, guys get sore now this time of the year. You can skip a guy if you want to. You can go right through in the same rotation, the same order if you want to. They have so many options, and it's virgin territory. It doesn't really happen with a lot of teams, especially in the month of August, but everybody's open to it.
They're healthy. They're pitching well. Just think about it. A couple of starts ago, Jay Happ was hit by 2 comebackers in Oakland. He was fortunate to avoid injury, but you never know. So I think the Blue Jays are doing a great job. Just go with the flow. As we speak today, we have a 6-man rotation.
And we'll let you know if we change it. You'll see from our actions. You know what it does for John Gibbons is it takes one player away from them. They might not have the versatility that they could use coming off the bench.
Tulowitzki lines it, but foul down the left side.
But in the American League, how many times do you use your bench, right?
Blue Jays have everyday players. You keep them healthy, you keep them in the lineup. Troy Tulowitzki is healthy, swinging the bat well. In his last 25 games coming into this game, he's hitting over 300 with 6 home runs. Tulowitzki got hit by a pitch in last night's game. He got hit right on the left side, and he took a shot. Of course, he got hit on the hand on last Sunday back at Rogers Center, and he avoided missing much time. He missed 3 games with that fractured thumb. Full count.
You notice that Danny Duffy is working out of the stretch, even though there's nobody on. He spent some time down in that bullpen, and the Royals say that was the best thing that they could have done for this kid. They went out there and said, listen, you need to be aggressive. Use your fastball. Trust your fastball. You've got outstanding stuff. He went down to the bullpen, started pitching much better. Now he's their best starter.
Tulowitzki lines it into right. Lorenzo Cain had trouble picking that ball up off the bat. He knew it was hitting his direction. He just gave ground and was able to play it on a hop.
Yeah, he's got the sunglasses on, and that sun is directly in his eyes. Those low liners, he has no chance. It's a fastball down and away. Tulo goes right with it, and Cain, a very good center fielder. Watch him in the outfield. He's trying to shade his eyes. He gives ground. He does the right thing in giving ground, just so he can catch it on the bounce.
Kevin Pillar did not start in the game last night. He came in to play defense in the 9th inning. He had started all but 5 games, including last night's start of the game. He was on the bench, and he needed a little bit of a blow. Two and out. Duffy walked just 1 and struck out 16 over 8 innings his last start against Tampa Bay. But the Blue Jays are a much more experienced team. They're a much more selective team. And they'll force him into the strike zone.
They'll also force him to throw a lot of pitches. Duffy was saying, there's the start right there where he had the 16 strikeouts, which is a franchise record in the season. He said my fastball was just jumping out of my hand and I could throw it wherever I wanted to. Desmond Jennings got that hit in the 8th inning, so he was out after 8.
The fly ball to right. Cain has room. He sees this one, makes the catch. Tulowitzki returns to first as Pillar flies out to right. That's a very unnerving situation for an outfielder. Be staring into that sun, see the batter hit the ball and not really know exactly where it is.
Oh, I've done that before. Absolutely. Right now, Lorenzo Cain is hoping this game gets into about the 3rd or 4th inning where that sun's not going to be a factor.
Dustin Smoke gets the start tonight with Duffy on the mound. Smoke is 0 for 5 against the Royals lefty. His average at .229 for the season. Breaking ball, strike 2. Another breaking ball. Smoke strikes out. That'll end the inning. Troy Tulowitzki with a single. The Blue Jays leave a base runner. We head to the bottom of the second. 1-0 Jays.
Log on and earn some points simply for watching tonight's broadcast. Here is your code for tonight. It's MBJ1180. The entry box can be found on your My Blue Jays homepage. You have till 11:50 tonight to enter, and we will have a new code for you tomorrow. Back to Buck and Pat.
Thank you very much, Barry Davis. As usual, when the Blue Jays are on the road, they bring a lot of fans with them, and there are a lot of Blue Jay fans wherever the Jays play. That's the case here tonight in Kansas City. Eric Hosmer goes after the first pitch. Hosmer has always been tough for the Blue Jays. They just can't get him out. Hosmer is the best hitter against the Blue Jays for his career among active players. He brings a .336 average into this game against the Blue Jays.
He's also had 4 home runs and 23 RBIs and 8 doubles against the Blue Jays in his career. Here's the numbers. He took an 0 for last night, so he dropped that average down to .327 coming into this game. You know what? Coming into this series, his batting average on balls in play, he's been waving that magic wand. It was .380 versus the Blue Jays. It seems like every time he swings the bat against Toronto, he's finding a hole and finding a hit.
Sanchez misses up and away. It's 3 balls and a strike. Aaron retired the side in order in the first, and of course he made his first all-star team this summer. He was selected by the Royals manager Ned Yost to replace Craig Kimbrell, who was voted to the all-star team but suffered an injury, and Yost picked Sanchez to fill the void.
Well, he saw him firsthand, didn't he? Back at Rogers Center right before the all-star break when Aaron had a great game against the Royals.
Yost had to replace Marco Estrada, who was named to the all-star team but couldn't pitch because he was injured, and he took Corey Kluber. And when that happened, Aaron Sanchez kind of thought, well, okay, they didn't take me, and that's okay. But when Kimbrell announced that he could not play because of a knee injury, Yost let Sanchez know he was going to San Diego. Leadoff walk to Hosmer. There's a curveball that misses upstairs. Kendrys Morales, the DH. Morales was 2 for 4 in the game last night. He had a couple of hits against Francisco Liriano. Sanchez has to get back into the strike zone.
Keeps kicking at that dirt on the mound like his landing foot. He's not real happy with it. Of course, he's got that great sinker. We were talking about that last inning, that he can get ground balls at any time. He gets one here at an infielder, it's going to be a double play.
Fly ball down the left side, hit deep, but slicing foul. Well, we told you the right fielders in this game right now are having a tough time with that sun before it settles over the top of that roof behind home plate. That's what the right fielders are dealing with. Both Bautista and Kane have sunglasses on. Fly ball deep to left. Upton at the track. He's got room, makes the catch. Hosmer turns and heads back to first. Morales has plenty of power, and he pushed Upton right to the wall in left.
Yeah, this is a big ballpark. And Morales can reach the seats, obviously, against Aaron Sanchez back on July the 4th. He was matched up against Aaron and actually went deep against him. That was just one of the runs that, the only run that Aaron gave up that afternoon.
This is the Gold Glove catcher, Sal Perez, goes after the first pitch. Smoke into foul ground, makes the catch. 2 down.
Swing for the fences and save during the DIY Expert Sale. Only at Home Building Center and Home Hardware Building Center.
This is Kauffman Stadium in beautiful Kansas City, Missouri. We are on the Missouri side of the state line. 2 down. This is the left fielder, Alex Gordon. Gordon chases that high pitch. Aaron Sanchez has only pitched here 1 time, and that was just 1/3 of an inning. It came in that final game 6 of the LCS. He threw 6 pitches, so he hasn't been on this mound much in the past. He has not made a regular season appearance here at Kauffman Stadium until tonight.
Well, there might be some getting used to the hard clay on that mound. He keeps working on that mound. You can see him kicking it with his spikes, flattening out the ground, smoothing it out so he can land properly.
Oh, and 2. Alex Gordon goes around. Alex Gordon, another strikeout. He's 0 for 14 against the Jays this season. Aaron Sanchez records his first strikeout of the night. Gordon can't check his swing on that high fastball.
tablet with the MLB.com at-bat app. Customize at-bats to feature the Blue Jays and stay up to the moment at any moment with scores, news, live game video highlights, and much more. Download MLB.com at-bat. It is your #1 app for live baseball.
This is Melvin Upton Jr. batting in the 9th spot tonight. Upton was a regular player with the San Diego Padres prior to the trade, and John Gibbons is trying to give him as many at-bats as possible, see if he can't get that bat going.
Well, you get a lefty tonight, and he has really hit well against lefties in his career. You get a couple of lefties when the Blue Jays get back home against Tampa Bay. So here's his chance, a little bit more familiar with the American League. But if they get this guy's bat starting to heat up, if he can get on base, he is a threat.
He has 20 steals, been caught just 5 times this season. He also has 11 doubles, 2 triples, and 16 home runs. All of those came with the Padres prior to the trade. Upton strikes out. 3rd strikeout of the ball game for Danny Duffy.
Well, Powder River right there, fastball, 95 miles an hour. They've been waiting for him to be aggressive like that. And he throws it in a good spot down to pick up the strikeout. He's refined some of the things that he throws. He throws fastball, slider, changeup. He's refined the slider just a little bit. He's changed his grip on his changeup, and it certainly has helped. You know, he has just walked 23 batters all season long. That was the problem that he had early in his career. Just couldn't find the strike zone.
Travis hits a high fly ball to right. Kane is there, makes the catch. 2 away. Let's check in with Jamie Kemper. Thank you very much, Jamie. This is Jose Bautista. He grounded out to 3rd base his first time up. Called strike. Off the plate outside, it's a ball on the strike. This is popped up right over the mound. Duffy gets out of the way as Hosmer hangs in there. The Gold Glove first baseman makes the catch. Bautista's retired. 3 up, 3 down. 24 years old. He leads the American League in earned run average, and there are some dominant young pitchers all around baseball.
How'd you like to start your staff with these three guys, 24 years of age and under what their ERA is? Michael Fulmer from the Detroit Tigers at 242, Noah Syndergaard at 264, and there sits Aaron Sanchez at 271. That 271 average is best in the American League. Fulmer doesn't qualify. He doesn't have enough innings. Sanchez all over the leaderboards in the American League. ERA at 271, that is the best. 225 batting average against, that's in the top 10. He's got a 10-game winning streak. That's the best in the American League. He's 24 years old and doing some outstanding things this year. His winning percentage, by the way, also #1 in the American League.
And Jay Happ is #2. The Blue Jays starting rotation has the third best opponent's batting average. I mean, it's not a fluke that they're winning all these games. They have the third most wins by a rotation in baseball. Orlando hits it right to Smoke. Sanchez stays with it. He's there to make the play. Orlando's retired, 1 away.
A lot of things have changed, but one thing hasn't. Honda, official vehicle of the Toronto Blue Jays, proud fan since 1977.
Kansas City is known as the City of Fountains. That is Country Club Plaza, now near the Blue Jays team hotel. We are out at Kauffman Stadium on a gorgeous Saturday afternoon, early evening start. This is Raul Mondesi, who's a switch hitter, playing at second base, batting 194.
Their top prospect from their farm system. They've had a black coal at second base over the last couple of years here in Kansas City. They're hoping that Mondesi can fill that void. He's a natural shortstop, and if Alcides Escobar needs a day off, Mondesi can slide over to second, from second base over to shortstop, but he's a good-looking player.
Well, this one on the ground. Travis from the edge of the grass makes the play. Another ground ball out for Sanchez. We mentioned Sanchez, and there's the concern. This is his first full season as a starter. He made 11 starts last year and then went down with a lat injury that cost him about a month. But I think the thing that impresses me most is the ease of effort and his delivery, how repeatable it is. I think that has taken a lot of stress off his arm.
I think the added muscle that he has put in his lower half and in his core has really helped him also to take some pressure off of that arm. He's got a great delivery. It does not look like it's a maximum effort type of delivery. It's free and easy, and the ball just explodes out of his hand.
And that ball is popped up. Smoke giving chase. It's not high enough for him to make a play on it as Escobar gets jammed. Nicky Huffman is a physical therapist who helped work out Marcus Stroman when he came back from his knee surgery, and he and Sanchez worked out with him. Nicky is currently with the ball club, and she will come with the ball club from time to time to check in on all the athletes, make sure their training is going properly. And Sanchez and Stroman, they worked hard all winter long to get ready for this season, and it's paid off. You can see the difference.
Yes, and I think that's one of the aspects where the Blue Jays have only used 6 starting pitchers all season long. Other than the couple of starts that Drew Hutchison has made, everybody else has made their starts.
Escobar pops out to Smoke in foul territory. When we come back, the Blue Jays will send Josh Donaldson to the plate, then Edwin Encarnacion, Russell Martin. The Jays have a 1-0 lead early.
way to live stream sports without having cable. Visit sportsnet.ca/now to start your free trial today. Guys, I had a chance to talk with Josh Donaldson before the game. He said when he got hit by that pitch yesterday, instantly he says his face went numb. He went down to the ground. He wanted to check to make sure there was no blood, made sure he didn't lose any teeth. At that point, he said, I'm staying in the game. I'm going to get right back to it. He went through all the concussion protocols. He passed all of those. He feels great that way. He says he's been hit many times in the face and in the head, but never in the major leagues, and never by an 87-mile-an-hour changeup either.
Yeah, the Blue Jays are very fortunate. Both he and Troy Tulowitzki dodged major injuries when they were hit by pitches, and fortunately, Josh is able to get right back on the horse and get in there tonight. I think that's the biggest concern when you get a hitter that's hit in the head or in the face, and you want to get him right back into the batter's box as quickly as possible. You know, if a guy is injured, then has to miss time, and then he's got all that time to think about
it.
What happened.
Get a base hit, and then you'll forget all about it. That's what I'd like to see. First step, get in there. Second step, get yourself a base hit. Then you know everything's fine.
Three and 0 to Donaldson. A 4-pitch walk. Donaldson walks another time to start the inning. Blue Jays, they just don't chase pitches.
No, I was watching the game that Danny Duffy had against Tampa Bay last time where he had those 16 strikeouts. There were a lot of swings and misses, and they were going out of the strike zone a lot. Blue Jays, they don't chase those pitches. They lay off of them.
Well, we have the ability now to track down just every kind of stat you can imagine. He had 35 swings and misses in that 8-inning outing against Tampa Bay. And if you think that sounds like a lot, it is. It ties Clayton Kershaw for the most swings and misses in the Pitch Effects era, where they track every pitch. There's a lot of swings and misses in a game.
Swings at 35 of them. That's the most, like you were saying, in the last 15 years in one game. And you can see the Blue Jays very patient with him, not swinging at those borderline pitches. They're going to make him come into the strike zone. I think that's just the difference in the philosophy of the Blue Jay hitters as opposed to the Tampa Bay hitters. Tampa Bay hitters are very aggressive. They like to swing early and often.
Encarnacion lifts a fly ball into shallow left. Gordon coming in quickly makes a running catch.
You know, and there's no right way or wrong way to hit. It's just the way that you feel. Tampa Bay, the last year, they used to swing a lot. Second half of the year, and that really helped, and they started scoring more runs. Blue Jays a little bit different. They've got some sluggers on this team, and they just don't chase that pitch off the plate.
Danny Duffy was a 3rd-round draft pick of the Royals in 2007. He's from Lompoc, California, on the southern coast of California, north of Santa Barbara. Martin drills this one into center. Orlando got a nice read off the bat, makes a running catch. Martin hit it hard in the alley in right center.
Boy, that looked like it was headed up the alley right there, and it would have been a run for the Blue Jays. But one thing about the Kansas City Royals, they've had it since day one of this franchise. They've had great athletes and a lot of speed in the outfield. Orlando, a former sprinter, sprints over and runs that one down. And you see Josh Donaldson, he was reading that center fielder all the way, but a good swing by Russell. Orlando was playing right field last year. Lorenzo Cain was playing center field. They have flip-flopped since the injury to Cain.
Troy Tulowitzki had a base hit to right field his first time up. Came with 1 out in the second. Donaldson picks his spots very well. He is 6 for 6 in stolen base attempts. Got a pretty good feel for it, and obviously hitting where he does in the lineup, he's not going to run a lot.
And it's tough to run on the guy behind the plate tonight for Kansas City. Salvador Perez.
Thrown out 51% of the base stealers. 25 of 51. He has been great once again. Off-speed pitch. That changeup's got movement down and away from the right-handed hitters.
It's just an added pitch that he picked up this year, that changeup. He's also got the slider that he can use when he gets to 2 strikes. He likes to throw that fastball.
That gets away from Perez, and Donaldson's going to move up to second. Perez got handcuffed, and he is charged with the pass ball.
You know, we were talking about him last night. He had only had 1 pass ball coming into this series. Well, this is number 2 right there. That moving fastball, and there was a lot of movement on that pitch from Duffy. Really handcuffed Sal Perez, and Blue Jays will pick up the extra base as Donaldson moves into scoring position.
Very difficult to catch that ball when you swipe at it. You more or less just knock it away. He needed to catch that ball with his palm up and never got his glove in the right situation. 2-2 now. Tulowitzki with a chance to drive in a run. Stays on that off-speed pitch, and it's at foul. Danny Duffy has dealt with injuries. Had Tommy John surgery in June of 2012. Missed a month last year with biceps tendonitis. Off-speed pitch again.
They've been waiting for this guy for a while. He's 27 years old. He was drafted, like you said, 9 years ago, and is just now starting to come into his own in the years where he is just starting to gain his most experience and the best strength. These are his formidable years right here. Just 27 years old.
On a battle that Tulowitzki's putting up here against Duffy, and Duffy wants to talk to Sal Perez. He called him out from behind home plate after Tulowitzki staying on his off-speed pitches pretty well.
Yeah, he's saying, how can he be doing that? Let's change up our signs just a little bit with Donaldson at second base. Maybe he has picked up something from Sal Perez. He might just use a verbal sign right here after he called him out there.
1-0. Blue Jays lead it. Devin Travis with a leadoff home run. Second game in a row that Travis has hit a homer in the first. Fastball off the plate inside. It's a full count now to Tulowitzki. Kevin Pillar waits on deck. Josh Donaldson walked to start the inning. He moved to second on the pass ball charge to Sal Perez. Tulowitzki, a 9-pitch at bat. 4 for 10 over his last 4 games.
This is just what the Blue Jays were looking for when they're facing their hottest pitcher right here. Long innings, long at bats. We saw an Encarnacion at bat of 10 pitches. This is going to be the 10th pitch of this at bat to Tulowitzki.
Tulowitzki strikes out. Blue Jays leave a runner in scoring position, but they have a 1-0 lead as we head to the bottom of the 4th.
on the road, and the Blue Jays return home to host the Tampa Bay Rays from August 8th through the 10th, and then the Houston Astros, whom the Jays took 3 of 4 in, return to the Rogers Center. The Angels come in the 23rd to the 25th, and then the Minnesota Twins from the 26th to the 28th. You can go to BlueJays.com for tickets. And guys, before the game, the Blue Jays announced a minor trade. They sent ambidextrous pitcher Pat Venditti to the Seattle Mariners for a player to be named later. And guys, with the amount of pitching depth the Blue Jays have now built, they're able to do a trade like this and really give Venditti a chance to possibly pitch in the majors again this year.
Yeah, they made that announcement earlier this afternoon, so Venditti will switch organizations and go out to Seattle.
He went down to the minor leagues, I believe. They also picked up Archimedes Camarino from Pittsburgh. He'll go to the big leagues. Venditti will go to the minor leagues.
Chesler Cuthbert hits a weak grounder to the second baseman. Another ground ball out for Aaron Sanchez. Cuthbert grounded out twice to Devin Travis.
Tell you, that fastball is explosive. They've only hit 2 balls into the outfield so far tonight off of Aaron. Hasn't gotten that curveball over just yet. We haven't seen the changeup, but his fastball is working.
Of course, Aaron has been, I'm sure, thinking about the possibility of going to the bullpen, and we've kind of avoided any conversation about that. Everybody in the world keeps asking him, what do you think about going to the bullpen? He goes, hey, I'm a starter until they tell me otherwise. And he did a great job of handling all of that. Lorenzo Cain.
For a young kid, and he's young, he's 24 years old, he acts like a veteran.
It's a little looper back behind second. That's going to drop for a base hit. Lorenzo Cain got jammed with that fastball, and he collects the first hit for the Orioles.
Shows you the explosive fastball that he has. Cain, one of the players who's gotten the ball into the outfield. That was a fly ball to center field. This time fights it off and just jams himself and hits the ball into the outfield. What I mean about Sanchez as a veteran, he carries himself as a veteran. He works like a veteran hard. He looks confident out on that mound. I mean, everything about him, if you didn't know anything about him and you watched him pitch, you said, this guy's been in the big leagues about 8 or 9 years. Just the way he handles himself.
He has been thinking about being a starting pitcher his whole life. And last year, as we mentioned, he made 11 starts and had the injury, came back in the bullpen. And John Gibbs told us something interesting earlier today. You and I were visiting with him in the manager's office. He said, you know, we brought Aaron Sanchez back from his rehab very quickly, just about a month last year when he got hurt, because we needed him in the bullpen. And there was some consideration to leaving him down there longer and bringing him back as a starter. But they needed his presence in the bullpen at that time. Ground ball, base hit for Hosmer. Cain turns, he's headed for third. Upton's got a good arm, but the throw is in the dirt. Donaldson does a good job of knocking down the throw to keep Hosmer at first and keep the double play in order.
What a good piece of base running right there from Lorenzo Cain. There's Troy Tulowitzki, you can see in the semi shift, so there's a hole on the left side of the infield. That ball's hit sharply to left field, but Cain never slowed down against Melvin Upton. Aggressively goes first to third on a base hit to left field. And by Josh Donaldson knocking that ball down, he keeps the double play in order, so Sanchez, who can throw his share of down balls, can get out of this. Just the second hit.
Back-to-back base hits here in the fourth. Kendrys Morales hit a ball to left field, flying out his first time up. Had a good cut at that pitch. Morales has grounded into 14 double plays this season. To give you an idea of where he stands in the American League, UNAM Escobar of the Angels has grounded into 19 double plays. Same for Dustin Pedroia. They lead the American League in double plays grounded into.
Well, the Blue Jays are bunching their infield against Morales, hoping that they get the ball. There it is right there. Second base shortstop bunching towards the bag. Donaldson way off the line.
Changeup missed inside. Morales 1 for 5. As Pat mentioned, that one hit was a home run against Sanchez at Rogers Center. It was back in July.
Disciplined hitter. Going to have to make a pitch to get him out.
There goes Hosmer, breaking ball for a strike. No throw from Martin. Hosmer picks up his 5th stolen base. He picked it perfectly with the curveball.
He's had the most stolen bases since 2011 for first baseman. That's his 54th. And watch him just wander off the bag, just keeps moving and takes off. And no chance for Martin, who will not even try and throw the ball to second base.
2 balls, 2 strikes, just 1 out. Great breaking ball for the strikeout. Just the 2nd strikeout of the ball game for Sanchez.
I think he's always got that in his back pocket if he needs to go to it. That big bender of a breaking ball. Watch this one get right underneath the bat. That's where you want to throw it to a power hitter like that, where you get it underneath that swing. That's a big strikeout for Aaron Sanchez.
Salvador Perez popped out in foul ground his first time up. Ground ball. Devin Travis at second's got plenty of time. Sanchez pitches out of the jam. The Royals leave 2 runners in scoring position. We go to the 5th. Blue Jays have a 1-0 lead. Now time for a Blue Jays Central update. Here's Jamie Campbell and Greg Zahn in the Samsung broadcast studio.
To join us a week from today for Junior J's Saturday presented by Boston Pizza. You can join us outside gates 5 and 10 before the game for inflatables, activities, and lots of fun. After the game, kids 14 and under can run the bases just like the pros. Go to BlueJays.com for tickets. And now as we head to the top of the 5th inning on an absolutely perfect night for baseball here in Kansas City, we'll send you back to Buck Martinez and Pat Tabler.
Thank you very much, Barry Davis. It is a perfect night for baseball. So far, so good for the Blue Jays. They have a 1-0 lead. Kevin Pillar will lead things off for the Jays. He goes after the first pitch and hits it in the alley, and this one's going to get down and go past Orlando to the wall. Pillar will check in at second with a stand-up double for Kevin. That's his 27th double of the season.
You know, Brooke Jacoby was talking to you and I before the ball game yesterday about Pillar, saying his strengths are from left center to right center, and he was thought that Pillar's power the other way is starting to develop. that he can do this. Take that fastball that's up and away, slice it away from that center fielder for extra bases. Constantly working with the hitters, changing things. They have new ideas and working with things, but Brooke was saying, like, when Pilar stays in the middle of the field, he's really good.
Pilar moves into the top 10 with that 27th double. He is currently tied with Travis Shaw of the Boston Red Sox with 27 two-baggers. Justin Smoak goes after that first pitch. Smoak struck out his first time up. That ended the top of the second.
You know, I wouldn't worry so much about moving the runner right here. I would try and drive him in. It's still relatively early in the contest, the top of the 5th inning. It's a one-run game.
Fly ball into center. Pilar is tagging at second. Orlando gets the momentum. Pilar watches the release and holds his ground at second. Kevin did a nice job. He saw that throw was going to be on line, and he broke and stopped.
He would have run into an out. Let's take a look at the scouting report of what the Blue Jays will be facing tonight in Danny Duff. He's going to use that fastball, and it's a good one, 95 miles an hour at 63% of the time. The slider, he throws it, it's hard. It's a sharp breaker where you can get a lot of strikeouts. The changeup is the improvement pitch. Before this year, he throws changeup the same way he did in high school. He was watching his teammate Edinson Volquez changeup, and he said, hey, how do you throw that thing? He showed him the split grip, the circle change, and how he rolls it right off of his fingers. He says, I like it. Started using that grip, and he's getting a lot more movement on his changeup this year.
Melvin Upton Jr. waves at that first pitch. Upton struck out to start the third.
That was a changeup right there. You see how that ball rolled off of his fingers and it went down and away to that right-hander.
Upton asked for time, and the veteran umpire Brian Gorman behind the plate granted his wish. Duffy was keeping an eye on Pilar, gave him a couple of extra looks, and just took too much time for Upton. Boy, that was close to not being a stop.
That's right. Looked like he tried to quick pitch Upton.
0-2 now to Upton. Pilar with the leadoff double, still at second. Line drive caught by Cuthbert at third. Soft liner grabbed by the third baseman. You know, there are so many ways to approach a leadoff double, and you mentioned not bunting in that situation. And the way the Blue Jays are swinging the bats right now, I agree with John Gibbons, not bunting right there. They're just not consistent enough to give up an out. You get a leadoff double, and you say, okay, well, let's just take a couple of shots, see if we can't get a base hit here.
That was my thinking also, and they're striking out. Even if you move that runner, you're facing a guy who strikes out a lot.
Yeah.
So it doesn't make any sense. I'd take my chances with Smoak, and I'll take my chances with Upton to drive him in from second base. He's got plenty of speed out there. Now it's going to take a 2-out hit.
We mentioned we were visiting with John Gibbons, and he was talking about the young second baseman Devin Travis and what a great start he had last year. But he pointed out that Travis hasn't necessarily hit real well against lefty pitching coming into this game, batting .213. And we kind of got into a discussion of what we thought the reason was. And my thinking is that he is so good out away from himself that the lefties bringing that ball into him have created problems for him early.
Yeah, there's no question he likes the ball out over the plate where he can shoot the ball the other way or pull it if he has to. It looks like they're going back out there. I asked Devin today, I said, any changes from this year from last year that you're seeing? He said, pitchers are throwing a lot of high fastballs to me. He says, I have to learn to lay off of that pitch. I got to set my sights a little bit lower with that high fastball. Here are the numbers, Buck, that you were just talking about. Almost 100 points higher versus righties. There's your inside fastball.
Yeah, and it's not unusual. And if you look at the Blue Jays as a team, they haven't hit as well this year against left-handed pitching as they did last year. And I think that has a lot to do with the game, the way it has evolved over the years, because pitchers haven't commanded the inside strike as frequently as they did in the past. And with that, hitters are diving out over the plate and looking for the ball away from them more often than not.
278 versus lefties last year, 255 this year against lefties. And you would think with all that power that the numbers would be a little bit better.
There's a base hit to right field. Pilar is making his turn around third, and he'll score without a throw. Go ahead, Devin. Drive in all the runs. A 2-out single for Devin Travis. He picks up his teammates, and the Blue Jays have a 2-0 lead.
He's getting used to that leadoff spot, isn't he? Getting very comfortable there. Well, they went fastball in the previous pitch, and he turned on it and hit it foul. Then it was a breaking ball out away from him. Again, I think he likes that ball out there. Watch this approach. It's short, it's quick. He can wait long. He uses the whole field. And that's a big 2-out hit for the Blue Jays. Boy, what an approach for a young hitter. Remember in April, he was leading this team in home runs, RBIs, and he was hitting 325 before that shoulder injury.
Jose Bautista takes a ball. There's a ball bounced in the dirt.
Let's take a look at the hit one more time. Watch the approach. That's a very short step with that front foot that allows him to stay back very long and read that pitch out over the plate. And a clutch hit for Travis, and his teammates love it.
Devin is certainly driving the bus here in Kansas City. Bautista hits it high in the air to left. Gordon there waits on it, and the inning is over. But Devin Travis comes up with a 2-out RBI single to give the Blue Jays a 2-0 lead.
Young Professionals Board for Extra Innings on August 18th, an exclusive event at Rogers Center hosted by Sportsnet's Hazel May, featuring sports-focused panel discussion in support of Jays Care. Visit BlueJays.com/extra innings to get your tickets today. And guys, some very interesting news just came across the wire. The Yankees have called a news conference tomorrow for 11:30 with Alex Rodriguez. They didn't say why, but you know he's not signing a contract extension.
Very interesting. And of course, this week, Mark Teixeira announced this will be his final season as a baseball player. He will retire after this season. Wonder if it's going to be the same for Alex Rodriguez. Interesting.
Interesting. I've heard some rumors about that. You know, the Yankees may be letting him go to start getting younger, start playing some of their young kids. It's a good spot to put some of those young kids.
Rodriguez hasn't had many at bats since the All-Star break. There's Alex Gordon's first hit of the season against the Blue Jays. A leadoff single here in the 5th.
Swing for the fences and save during the DIY Expert Sale. Only at Home Building Center and Home Hardware Building Center.
Leadoff single for Alex Gordon in the 5th. Blue Jays have a 2-0 lead. You can see the shadows completely covering the field now, and it's much easier for the hitters to pick up the baseball. This is Paulo Orlando, who grounded out first. He drops a bunt. That's a foul bunt. Paulo Orlando is a very interesting guy. He was born in Sao Paulo, Brazil. And I spoke to Dayton Moore, the general manager, about Orlando, and he told me that Orlando was on the release list twice as a minor league player. He was never on the 40-man roster while they were contemplating releasing him, but they were patient enough to allow him to play and develop. He's got a lot of physical tools.
He's got some tools. I told you he was a sprinter when he was younger. Baseball tools, he's just catching up to what he has to offer. And there's been some talk of maybe putting him in the leadoff spot. They've been looking for a leadoff hitter really all season long. His on-base percentage is much better than that of Escobar, who's hitting leadoff now.
Look out, that ball goes all the way back to the screen as Orlando squared the bunt. Ball took off and goes back to the screen, so Gordon moves up. Wild pitch charge to Sanchez.
Fastball's moving everywhere. You see, he wants it down and away. It's up and in and off the glove. That'll send that runner down to second base.
That is so hard for a catcher when you get set up on the outside corner and your pitcher misses all the way off the plate inside, and it's 97 miles an hour. Your glove feels like it's made out of cement. You just can't react quick enough. Russell has talked often about how challenging it is to catch Sanchez because of that great velocity and movement. And Russell is one of the best at receiving the baseball. He says, you know, I always try to make it look like a strike with most pitchers. With Sanchez, I'm just trying to catch it.
Just trying to catch it. Set up in the middle of the plate and let that movement take it to the corners.
Ground ball, Tulowitzki in the hole. He doesn't have a play. Orlando runs too well. Tulowitzki showed good judgment right there to hold on to the baseball, concede the infield base hit.
Yeah, that's the first thing I thought of when he didn't throw that ball. The second thing I thought of is that wild pitch. The Blue Jays would like to have it back because they would have gotten an out at second base. Tulo, one of the best at throwing on the run, but he knows who the runner is. He's very aware that Orlando can really run, and instead of throwing the ball across the diamond and then maybe Alex Gordon goes to third base, he says, you know what, I'll just concede that run at first base and we'll try and get an out here. Blue Jays are expecting a bunt from Raul Mondesi Jr.
Mondesi has 2 sacrifice bunts so far this season. Mondesi playing in just his 11th game. He squares to bunt, and Sanchez misses with the first pitch.
You know, Josh Donaldson will give the signs at third base and he will relay to everybody what bunt defense they're in, but watch how he sets up. He's actually facing second base, and he's watching the pitch, and he's also watching the runner at second base. He'll creep in. If the ball's bunted to him, he'll go ahead and make the out. If not, he'll get back to third base and let Sanchez cover the line.
Perfect bunt. Russell Martin's got to hurry, not in time. Mondesi with a terrific bunt. Hit it right off the end of the bat and killed it out in front of home plate.
You know, with plenty of speed on the infield, the guys who were running on the bases, there was no chance to go to second. There was no chance to go to third. The only play was at first base, and there was some speed in the batter's box. You can't roll that ball out any better than this. 2-0, he squares around, just deadens the ball out in front of home plate. No chance at third, second, and at first base, he just outruns the ball. Look at the head right down on that baseball. He's got that bat at the top of the strike zone. His momentum is taking him down. That'll get the ball down on the ground. And the Royals have something brewing here.
Top of the order, Alcides Escobar, bases loaded and nobody out. Ground ball off the glove of Donaldson. Everybody's going to be safe. Gordon comes in to score. It'll be an infield hit for Escobar and an RBI.
Boy, is this a typical Royals type of rally, isn't it? That is their third infield hit of the inning. They make contact. Very rarely do they strike out. They put the ball in play, and they're finding the holes now this inning off the glove of Donaldson. Tulowitzki runs it down. They just keep moving one base at a time. Even if Donaldson comes up with that ball, they're only going to get one out. There's the ground ball that you want, but it's just off of the glove. Gordon is the only one who they've had 4 straight hits. He's the only one to make the outfield.
In a line drive to right to start the inning. Orlando with an infield single. Mondesi with a bunt, and now Escobar with an infield single. Still nobody out. Little looper. Travis is going to make the catch, and Cuthbert is retired. He got jammed and pops out. Sanchez and a couple of his starting partners in the rotation have done a terrific job retiring batters with runners in scoring position. Sanchez is 5th in the American League in baseball action. He's 5th in baseball with a 76% retiring batters with runners in scoring position. Estrada is 2nd and Happ is 4th.
I was going to say that's the 3rd worst on the team right here. Blue Jays have 3 of the top 5 in retiring runners in scoring position. They got some tough hitters coming up now. Tough to double up this guy.
Lorenzo Cain. Cain got the first hit off of Sanchez. Little looper into center field. Fouls that one straight back. Cain has been doubled up 13 times this season. One behind Morales, who leads the team in ground ball double plays.
That's hard to believe. The way this guy runs, he must hit those one hoppers right to the middle of the infield. Aaron looks like he wants to take him himself. A couple of hard fastballs that were up in the strike zone. Like Lorenzo Cain was expecting something away, didn't he?
Almost walked into that pitch. It was a fastball up and in. Kansas City has scored a run here in the bottom of the fifth. It's a 2-1 Blue Jays lead. Curveball outside. It's full count. 1 out. Orlando at third. He had an infield hit. Mondesi dropped down a perfect bunt for a base hit, and Escobar had an RBI base hit on the infield. Cain 1 for 2 so far. '97 foul back.
Reaching back for a little something extra.
John Gibbons, Pete Walker. Think about what to do next if Sanchez needs some help.
He hasn't had too many of these types of innings. These stressful innings, these long innings.
Ground ball. Donaldson's going to come home to get the force, and that's all they'll get. Donaldson made a quick decision to come home. He took the high hopper, and it wasn't going to be a routine double play ball.
You know, you have to play these situations in your mind before they happen. A ball to my left, I might go around the horn. Ball right at me, I got to go home. Cain just runs too well to try and go third to second to first around the horn for a double play. So Donaldson made the right call right there, getting that runner at the plate. Still wasn't going to try and go for the double play. He was just getting that lead runner.
Eric Hosmer is 1 for 1 with a walk. He singled through the shortstop hole his last time.
That looked like it might have been a changeup, and it was 90 miles an hour. He hasn't had that feel like we have seen him in the past with that changeup.
From 22 pitches this inning, it's been a long inning. Danny Barnes loosening up for the Blue Jays with 2 outs. Base hit. That's going to score 2. Mondesi in to score. Right behind him is Escobar, and the Royals have taken the lead. Eric Hosmer continues to hit the Blue Jays hard.
Well, he laid off that first pitch, the changeup, so no place to put him, so Aaron's going to try and challenge him with a fastball. And Hosmer, you mentioned, he has been wearing out the Blue Jays, gets a high pitch and just dumps it into center field. That's going to score the runner from third and second. Cain had ideas of maybe scoring from first base on that single, and there are the numbers this season for Eric Hosmer versus the Blue Jays. It's up to 389 now.
Nice play by Smoke. Steps on the bag. The inning is over, but Kansas City scores 3 runs on 5 hits to take a 3-2 lead.
Center, Friday, August 12th. It's our next Friday Fan Festival presented by Bacardi. It features the DJ Showcase featuring Jed Harper, DJ Deluxe, and your boy Brian. The patio opens at 4:30, and then you can enjoy Blue Jays baseball following that as the Houston Astros pay a visit. Go to BlueJays.com for tickets. Now we'll get you back to Buck and Pat.
Thank you very much, Barry Davis. A different ball game now. The Blue Jays are behind 3-2. Danny Duffy gets 3 runs from his offense in the bottom of the 5th. Josh Donaldson leads things off. He goes after the first pitch and lifts a fly ball to center. No problem for Orlando. It's interesting what happened on that forced play at the plate when Donaldson threw to Russell Martin, because the base runner slides into home. Now, Martin is just getting out of the way. But what happens if he makes a throw attempt toward first base and the runner slides into him, makes contact? I'll tell you what happens. The Blue Jays can appeal that it's a double play.
In 2016, it should be a double play, shouldn't it?
The rule states, and it's Rule 7.14J, and the first sentence is sliding to bases on double play attempts. It doesn't say second base. It says sliding into bases. That's pretty interesting. It's something that I think we'll have to talk to John Gibbons about. I think, you and I both know that it wasn't going to be a double play. But if Russell Martin makes a fake like he's throwing to first base and the base runner runs into him, then I think the Blue Jays can say, wait a minute, he made contact with the guy trying to turn the double play.
Well, he caught the ball and went behind him. First of all, I found that a little bit odd. A lot of times you'll see catchers try to stay on the inside part of the diamond when they catch the ball. Then do you have to make a throw? I've seen it ruled a couple of different ways this year, where umpires said, well, if you want the call, you have to make an attempt to try and make the throw.
Right, I agree with that 100%. As Encarnacion takes a 1-out walk. Second walk issued by Duffy, but I just thought it was interesting the way it developed there. We have seen some curious double plays called because of contact around second. So here is Russell Martin. He has flied out twice so far tonight. Blue Jays have won 4 in a row. Kansas City has lost 3 in a row. Russell drove a ball deep to right center his last time up. Paulo Orlando, the center fielder, ran it down near the warning track in right center. But he had a pretty good swing on that last at bat.
He had a great swing in that at bat. When he is staying in the middle of the field like that, that's where he'll get a lot of extra base hits, drive in a lot of runs. This is a good defensive team, the Kansas City Royals, and they make you beat them. Very rarely do they beat themselves. Hosmer's a Gold Glover, Sal Perez is a Gold Glover, Kane's a Gold Glove type of player, Escobar is a Gold Glove type of player. They just don't make any mistakes on defense.
Well, it's interesting you point that out, because Kansas City doesn't utilize the shift very often in defense, and Ned Yost, I think, is reflecting the fact that he's got good athletes who can cover a lot of ground. So why would you shift and take their skills away from them? They've only shifted 358 times this season, compared to Houston, who leads baseball with 1,449 shifts. So Kansas City's got good athletes, and when you have good athletes, you don't need to shift because they can cover ground.
That's interesting, because Houston has good athletes also. They got just as many athletes on that diamond as Kansas City does, but it's a philosophy.
Line drive into center. Orlando is there, and Russell Martin having a frustrating night at the plate. He's hit the ball hard a couple of times and has hit anything to show for it.
He smoked the ball to left field his first time up. You mentioned the one to center field, and he's right on top of that one. That is a line drive that you hope get down. That's an out, a long out.
Troy Tulowitzki 1 for 2 so far. The Blue Jays again tonight, just 4 hits. Had 8 hits in their win last night. Ball hit to right, not a problem for King. No problem with the sun now. Easy play for King. Blue Jays are retired in the top of the 6th.
Download the Sportsnet app today for unrivaled news, analysis, and video highlights of Canada's team. Plus, never miss a single pitch with our in-depth live game tracker, available on iOS and Android devices. And guys, the Blue Jays have just informed us that with the 3 earned runs Sanchez has allowed tonight in the 5th, well, it snapped a stretch of 8 consecutive starts of allowing 2 earned runs or less, and that is a pretty remarkable stat.
The starters have been on quite a roll recently, and unfortunately the hitters have been scuffling to score a lot of runs, or the record could be much better than it is.
The last time Aaron gave up more than 2 earned runs was back on June the 12th.
Tulowitzki from the hole throws a strike in plenty of time to retire the catcher, Sal Perez. Once again, you got to know who's running, and Tulowitzki looped that ball right on the money to smoke.
Have you ever gone out to shortstop and caught a ball like that and flipped it over to first base?
Not like that.
Not like that. It is such a difficult play to make, and he makes it look so easy. What astonishes me is how accurate he is with that throw. His body's going away from first base.
Yeah, and oftentimes there'll be a big slice to that throw, and you really have to use some imagination to be able to drop that right on the bag at first. He does it time and time again. Alex Gordon singled to start the rally in the 5th. He scored the first Royals run, first of 3 they scored in the bottom of the 5th.
You know what, to finish up that thought on Aaron Sanchez, the last time he gave up more than 2 earned runs in a game, June 12th, that was against Baltimore. He gave up 6 runs to the Orioles and won that game. Threw 5 innings and gave up 6 runs.
Big curveball, he gets the strikeout of Alex Gordon. 3 strikeouts now for Sanchez.
Tonight he's working into the 6th inning, and he's given up 3 earned runs. This is a good curveball right here. Finishing pitch as he gets Gordon. Gordon started it all last inning with that single. And there's the rotation. They have been rolling.
So Barry Davis was talking about how well they have pitched over the last couple of times to the rotation. Over their last 7 starts, they've combined to throw a 1.72 ERA up on the board. And it's been quite a run. And it has been 5 pitchers, basically. Of course, Liriano started last night. Hutchison made 2 starts over the course of the season, but it's been a 5-man rotation all season long.
And that's it.
Same 5 guys.
Take your turn, get you deep into the ball game.
During those 7 games, the opponents averaged at 183, the whip at 0.85. Tulowitzki knocks it down, and Orlando will reach again. That should be a base hit. Sharply hit to the glove side. It is another infield hit for the Royals.
He has had some tough plays tonight. He made the same type of play off of Escobar, the first batter of the ball game. A lot of top spin on this ball. It's an in-between hop. He goes down, but just not far enough. It's off of his glove for another infield hit. For the Royals, they had 3 consecutive infield hits last inning.
This is Raul Mondesi, who dropped down a beautiful bunt for a base hit in the 5th. He was sacrificing, but he bunted it perfectly and beat the throw to first. Delayed steal. Martin's throw is there, and Tulowitzki knocked the ball down, but Orlando picks up the steal, his 9th stolen base, and it was just enough of delay to catch the infielders flat-footed.
He had a base running mistake in last night's game, getting thrown out at third base. This time he's going to use the delay steal. 1, 2, 3, and then right before the ball gets to the catcher, he takes off. You're counting on the position players holding their position as that ball crosses the plate and then breaking to the bag, and they're just a little bit too late.
Ball on a strike now for Mondesi with 2 outs. The reason the delay works is the infielders take one last look at the runner as the pitcher is delivering the pitch, and the last thing they see is Orlando just has a regular lead. Then they focus on the pitch going to the plate. That's when he takes his 2 jumps and breaks for second.
And you're hoping that that first baseman will alert everybody, let everybody know that he's going.
Mondesi fouls off the breaking ball.
Even through all that, I thought Orlando executed it perfectly. They picked on a good pitch to do it. The defense held their position and still got there. And Blue Jays still almost threw him out.
The Royals tonight 4 for 9 with runners in scoring position.
Good movement on that fastball. They, like the Blue Jays, have been struggling to score runs. Royals have not scored more than 3 runs in 9 straight games. That is a club record for one season. Ned Yost has been trying to find the combinations that's going to unlock this offense.
Down the right field line, that's a fair ball up against the wall. Orlando's in to score. Mondesi is headed for third, and he will get there with a slide, an RBI triple for Mondesi. He's an exciting young player.
Well, there's their 4th run. That snaps that streak of 9 straight games, 3 runs or less. And they do it in style. Another fastball up and in. The ball is ripped into the corner. He's got plenty of speed. Watch him. He's thinking third base right now. The play's in front of him. He doesn't even have to pick up the coach. And watch this slide into third base. It's an aggressive slide, pop-up slide. By the time the Blue Jays run it down, he's on third base.
That's the first extra base hit for Raul Mondesi in his big league career. An RBI triple. He's just 21 years old. He had his 21st birthday on July 27th. Escobar bunts it up the third baseline, but it's going to be foul. Alcides Escobar took a shot with Donaldson back at third, but bunted it foul.
He had been struggling at the bat also, so why not try and drop it down? Looked like it was going to be a good bunt, and it hit the lip and kicked foul. They put the ball in play. Kansas City Royals. This is another 2-out scoring opportunity for them. 2 quick outs, ground out and a strikeout, and here they go.
Now, bottom of the order. They have 4 of the 9 hits. The bottom 2, number 8 and 9 in the lineup. Orlando and Mondesi. Danny Barnes throwing for a second time tonight. Curveball, that's popped out of play. Evan Sanchez has allowed 9 hits tonight. Season high in hits allowed. He's done it twice. He allowed 10 in his only loss of the season back on April 22nd against Oakland. And then he allowed 10 in the game against Baltimore on June 12th that Pat referenced earlier, in which he had given up 6 earned runs. Line to Tulowitzki. That'll end the inning, but the Royals get an extra run here in the bottom of the 6th. We'll go to the 7th. 4-2 Kansas City.
Network tomorrow after the Blue Jays Royals. We have the Red Sox and Dodgers at 7 o'clock Eastern, 4 o'clock Pacific. David Price will be taking the mound for the Red Sox tomorrow. And how about the Dodgers beating the Red Sox 3-0 today, Buck? The Dodgers starting rotation is just a mess right now with all the injuries, but they got a big game today from Ross Stripling.
Yeah, they sure did. Kenley Jansen picks up his 33rd save of the season as he strikes out the side in the ninth. Blue Jays have some ground to make up. They trail by 2 here in the 7th. Kevin Pillar hit a leadoff double in the 5th, but he didn't go any farther than second. They couldn't move him up. Smoke flied out. Upton lined out. Check that.
Yeah.
Came in to score.
Travis single.
Travis had that 2-out single.
Clutch it. They've also had a leadoff walk, and they haven't been able to move him around. They've had some balls that they've hit hard into the outfield.
Russell Martin's had 3 of those drives to the outfield, and they've all been caught.
You were talking in the last inning about the Blue Jays. They just haven't been hitting. You're starting to see them, though, start to hit the ball hard. And coming out of slumps, I think that's the first thing you look for.
Hosmer flips to Duffy just in time. Tim Leeper, the first base coach, motioned to John Gibbons to have a look at the replay, as Pilar could see Duffy as he broke off the mound, and it was a foot race to first.
Pilar's going to dive into the bag. Let's see if that foot gets on the bag or the hands. It looks like the fingers might have gotten in there. And Pilar is sticking there, and I think they're going to take a look at this one.
Yeah, it looked like Pilar's hand hit the base before Duffy got down on top of first base. But the umpires are going to have a look at it, and we'll go to the replay review. This replay review is powered by Samsung. Obviously, Pilar leading off the seventh. This will be an important review for the Blue Jays.
See
they
how
can't get something going here.
See how Duffy had to reach for that ball to just slow down his momentum just momentarily. Pilar was pretty adamant that he was safe. Let's see one more time. Hand on.
Wow, that's tough to tell there.
Yeah, there might not be enough to overturn it. One more time. You see how he's got to jump for the ball that slowed down his momentum going to first base.
I think Pilar was on the base before Duffy came down on top of first. Let's see. It's awfully close, and we have seen in the past that unless it's clear cut and definitive, they rarely overturn a play on the field. The call on the field is that Duffy beat Pilar to the base and that Pilar is out.
Yeah, he's saying the same thing. It looks like they've got their answer.
So it'll be an infield hit for Kevin Pilar. That's a big ruling for the Blue Jays. An infield hit here in the seventh to start the inning. It's a base hit for Pilar, his second hit of the night. He's 2 for 3. Duffy committed an error on a similar pickoff throw last time out at Tampa Bay. He uses that abbreviated step off and throw to first. He threw it away, cost himself an error. Smoke fouls it out of play. Peter Moylan loosening up for the Royals. He had a good inning of work last night, retired the 3 batters he faced in the seventh.
That was a good pitch to hit right there. Duffy's tough here in this stadium.
He has been tough over the years pitching here at home.
It's a big ballpark. He'll give up his share of fly balls, but those things are going to stay in the ballpark here. So his record here is outstanding.
He's unbeaten over his last 17 home starts coming into this game. Last time he lost was September 5th of last year. 6-1 loss to the White Sox. Since then he's gone 3-0. 0-2 pitch. Cut on and missed. Smoke strikes out. 1 down. This copyrighted telecast is presented by authority of Rogers Blue Jays Baseball Partnership and may not be reproduced or retransmitted in any form. And the accounts and descriptions of this game may not be disseminated without the express written consent of Rogers Blue Jays Baseball Partnership. 1 out for Melvin Upton Jr.
So on top of being tough to play at home and beat at home, Blue Jays have their work cut out for them. They're in a 2-run hole, and there's only 3 innings left. We were talking earlier about Danny Duffy and the game that he had in his last start. 16 strikeouts, 1 hit or less. Any other player to do that who's left-handed in Major League history? Randy Johnson. I mean, that tells you how good he was in that ball game against Tampa and how he has come into his own this year.
Danny Duffy to Melvin Upton, and 0-2 count, 1 out. Pilar with the infield single is at first. There goes Pilar. Upton strikes out. Pilar is safe. He beats the throw from Perez for Pilar, his 10th stolen base, but it comes after the strikeout of Upton. Let's check in with Jamie Campbell. Kevin Pilar busted his belt. He's going to go into the dugout and get a new belt, and I also think he may have jammed his thumb with that head first slide.
Yeah, we saw him having that tricky type of slide where he got his hand in there. That time he got the hand in there again.
So Ned Yost has made a pitching change. Danny Duffy is out. He leaves with the lead 4-2. Another good outing. He acknowledges the crowd. Devin Travis will be the batter with 2 outs. Peter Moylan coming in, the righty. A clean inning last night in the 7th inning. He got Devin Travis to ground out to first. That's the batter he'll face with 2 outs here in the 7th. Travis is 0 for 2 against Moylan, and Moylan's a sidearmer with a fastball and slider.
And can be tough on righties. Right-handers just hitting .239, and Ned Yost said, I am not going to have Devin Travis face my left-handed starter tonight. He just looks too comfortable. Let's see if we can turn it around and bring in the side throwing right-hander in Moylan.
Following a strike to Devin Travis, he has driven in both of the Blue Jay runs tonight. A leadoff home run and an RBI single in the 5th. Travis is the first Blue Jay to lead off back-to-back games with a home run since Jose Cruz Jr. did it April 22nd and 23rd of 2000. That was against the Yankees. He hit those home runs off David Cone and Orlando Hernandez. Travis went around on that slow breaking ball.
You know, if you're a right-handed batter and you're facing a sidewinder like this, you got to fight the temptation of trying to open up You got to really keep that shoulder closed a long time. He's trying to throw sidearm to get you to open up.
Pulled foul.
You know, we were watching the slide of Kevin Pillar. Watch this aggressive slide into second base. And you can see how his hand kind of rolled up underneath him as he went to slide head first. And he came up holding his wrist. He's still working on it out there at second base.
Travis strikes out. Moylan comes in and saves the run for Danny Duffy. We'll go to the bottom of the seventh, 4-2 Kansas City.
Say staycation again with the #1 rated travel rewards card in Canada. It's the WestJet RBC World Elite MasterCard. Visit rbc.com/WestJet to apply today. We head to the bottom of the seventh inning with Buck Martinez and Pat Tabler.
Thank you very much, Barry. New pitcher for the Blue Jays will be Danny Barnes, making his second big league appearance. Those are his numbers from AAA, and notice the control. Just 1 walk, 21 strikeouts.
Not too shabby, and a whip of 0.34. It was a successful major league debut. That was on Tuesday. He pitched the 8th inning against Houston, and he picked up his first big league hold. He had a couple of strikeouts against the Astros.
Against Houston, he faced some pretty good hitters when he made that major league debut. In fact, he was able to get Carlos Correa. He struck him out to end the inning. This is a pop-up. Donaldson will watch it sail out of play.
He showed a lot of veteran type of pitching in that game when he threw a 3-2 changeup to Correa to strike him out and end that inning.
He faced the top 4 batters in the Astros lineup and gave up a 2-out single to Altuve. Breaking ball to the third baseman, Cheslor Cuthbert. He's 0 for 3, a couple of groundouts and a pop-out. That ball is hit deep to left field, high and off the top of the wall. Upton plays it off the top of the wall and gets it back in quickly, but Cuthbert has a leadoff double here in the 7th.
He throws fastball changeup, and that looked like it was a changeup to Cuthbert. He had made him reach for it, but he got enough of the plate. Watch him go down and get this changeup. Ball kept carrying to left field. It looked like it was just going to be a fly ball to left field, but it hits about 3/4 of the way up the fence in left field for another extra base hit for the Royals.
15th double of the season. Cuthbert's got some pop. He's got 9 home runs to go along with those 15 doubles. Lorenzo Cain fouls back the first pitch. Of course, this is the first time the Royals have seen Danny Barnes. Cain 1 for 3 tonight.
Guys will go down to the bench and say, what has he got? Anybody face this guy in the minor leagues? Anybody see him this year? Somebody give me a quick scouting report. Well, the best scouting report is standing in that batter's box, watching that ball come out of his hand.
Fastball upstairs. Foul back. Danny Barnes in relief of Aaron Sanchez. Sanchez went 6 innings. The Blue Jays got a leadoff home run from Devin Travis. Travis drove in the second run of the ball game to make it a 2-0 game, but Kansas City scored 3 runs in the bottom of the 5th. They added another run in the bottom of the 6th, and now it is a 4-2 Royals lead. Danny Barnes is 26 years old. He's from Long Island, New York. Gorman calls him for the swing. The home plate umpire called it himself, and he calls Cain for the swing. That's the first out of the inning. Aaron Sanchez, the starter, has not lost a game since April. He has won his last 10 decisions. He's on the hook for the loss right now. He throws 92 pitches, and he really didn't get as hit hard as that 9 hits would suggest.
Yeah, there were some infield hits, 4 of them against him. That 10-game win streak is the best in the American League. April 22nd is the last time he lost. Been averaging 7 innings per start. Tonight, Aaron can just go 6. Blue Jays have their offense. Got to get their offense in gear to get them off the hook here.
Eric Hosmer has had a perfect night at the plate. A walk, a single, and a 2-run single his last time up. He's also added a stolen base for good measure.
Wow. I think Russell Martin wanted that one right there. Hosmer's got a big frame. It's a big strike zone. He's about 6'4". Got a good eye right there. It looked like a slider that backed up on him. A lot of spots you can get him out with.
Now ball, fair ball. Smoke will go to the bag, and Hosmer's retired for the first time tonight. Cuthbert moves over to third. Now there are 2 outs. Barnes spent 7 years in the Blue Jays minor league system before getting his first opportunity down in Houston on this road trip. Got the chance to pitch in the big leagues for the first time. Had some shoulder problems a couple of years ago, and his career was really in doubt. He's bounced back very effectively. Now ball, Travis, couple of steps to his right. Morales is thrown out. Danny Barnes does a good job. He pitches around the leadoff double. We'll go to the 8th.
Sportsnet. Presented by Honda. A lot has changed in 40 years, but one thing hasn't. Honda. Proud fan since 1977. Official vehicle of the Toronto Blue Jays.
The sun is setting in Kansas City and time is running out for the Blue Jays. They trail by 2 in the top of the 8th. It'll be Bautista, Donaldson, and Encarnacion.
It's getting late early here.
It certainly is. Moylan delivers a first pitch strike to Bautista.
Well, if you want to get back into the game, these are the 3 hitters that you'd like to see leading off coming up in the 8th inning.
Blue Jays have had a base runner on in every inning but the 3rd. And he definitely retired the side in order in the 3rd. Bounced. Third baseman Cuthbert makes a nice grab on a short hop and then makes a true throw. 1 away. Nice play at 3rd.
Fans, our coverage of the Rio 2016 Olympic Games begins tomorrow morning, 8:30 Eastern, 5:30 Pacific, live on Sportsnet.
The 2016 Olympics are underway, and I believe they've already awarded some gold medals.
Already?
I think they, wow. U.S. shooter, marksman, has won a gold medal. Olympics are underway. They had a terrific opening ceremonies last night. One out for Josh Donaldson.
Some updates, Buck, from Rio. It looks beautiful there. I've never been there. It looks gorgeous.
They've gotten so much bad publicity because of the water in the bay there. The venues look pretty nice from what I've seen. Well, that fouled right into the chest protector of Brian Gorman, the home plate umpire. Umpires set up in the slot over the catcher's left shoulder, and they become very vulnerable to those foul tips.
Especially when they set up on the outside part of the plate. You see Perez reach back for that ball. It's tipped right over his glove and right into the veteran's chest protector. And he told Sal Perez, okay, I'm fine, let's go. Sal showing him a little courtesy there to go out to talk to his pitcher while he catches his breath.
Donaldson strikes out on the slider.
That's what I mean, where you got to fight yourself to stay in there against a right-handed side armor like this. He's going to want to get you out by throwing that slider down and away, and Josh just can't hold up. He sees fastball, but it's a slider and way off the plate. Second out of the inning. Second strikeout of the night for Moylan.
Moylan has faced 6 Blue Jays over the last 2 nights and retired all 6 of them with 3 strikeouts. Encarnacion goes after the first pitch. Cuthbert at 3rd goes high and airmails first base. Cuthbert came out through and kind of nonchalanted the throw, and it took off on him, and Encarnacion reaches on the air by the 3rd baseman. That's his 10th air of the season.
He'll make a great play, and then this time he gets to it and then hurries his throw just a little bit. He had a little bit more time than he thought. You can see Edwin still not even in the picture as that ball ricochets off the screen behind first base. 10th error of the season for Cuthbert. And the Blue Jays have life with 2 outs.
Russell Martin 0 for 3, but he's hit the ball hard 3 times. Martin is 1 for 6 against Peter Moylan. He's flied out 3 times, but hit the ball hard all 3 at bats. Well, it's a tough slider. It's a flat-breaking slider from the sidearm delivery of Moylan, and it's tough for righties.
We have seen pitchers like this for years come up, and teams like to get sidearmers. They like to get different looks out of their bullpen, and this is a different look. You don't see a lot of them, but over the years we've seen them, a sinker slider type of pitchers. Tough on righties because they can do that.
Martin strikes out. The 2-out error doesn't cost the Royals as Moylan strikes out a pair. He has struck out 3 since coming into the game. Now time for a Blue Jays Central update. Here's Jamie Campbell and Greg Zahn in the Samsung broadcast studio.
Experiences on the road like these Blue Jays fans are. If you're catching a game in the United States and you want to do that, why don't you do it at Roam Like Home? You can do it just like you would from home with Rogers, and it's just $5 a day in the U.S. Go to Rogers.com/Roam Like Home for more details. Guys, and it's so great to be walking around the Country Club Plaza area here in Kansas City and just seeing Blue Jay jerseys wherever you go.
A lot of Blue Jay fans all over the community here in Kansas City, and it's a great place to come. Beautiful ballpark. It's a packed house tonight, that's for sure.
We saw them at the team hotel today. A lot of Blue Jay fans wearing their Blue Jay jerseys.
Danny Barnes, for a second inning of relief, delivers a strike to the catcher Sal Perez. He's 0 for 3 so far in this game. That's going to be down the left field line up against the wall. Melvin Upton Jr. plays it, bounces away from him. But that last bounce didn't have an impact as Perez was going to get the leadoff double no matter what.
Second inning in a row that the Kansas City Royals have had a leadoff double. They stranded him at third base last inning. I've played in the corners in this ballpark, and it's really tough to go into that corner and dig that ball out because it can ricochet by you for extra bases. You can see how Melvin goes after that ball, lets it bounce a couple of times off the wall. It's going to come right back to you. The way that wall is curved, you don't have to go towards the foul line. Just let it come back to you. He plays it and holds him to a double.
Alex Gordon lifts a high fly ball to center. Perez is tagging, and he'll stay put. Villar unloads in a hurry. Gordon flies out to center.
Well, here's the part of the lineup that has really hurt the Blue Jays tonight. 8 and 9.
Paulo Orlando is 2 for 3 with a stolen base. He scored a run. And the number 9 hitter, Raul Mondesi, is 2 for 3. He's scored a run and driven in a run.
You can see that on base percentage at 356. There's been some talk here in Kansas City wondering why this guy isn't hitting up higher in the lineup. Take advantage of that higher on base percentage. Ned Yost has said, you know what, if our big guys start hitting, it doesn't matter who's at the top of the lineup. That's the whole key to this team. Kane, Hosmer, Morales, and Perez, if they're hitting, they're going to be fine.
Orlando spent 9 seasons in the minor leagues with the Royals before he broke last year with the opening day ball club. That ball gets away from Martin, and Perez is going to jog over to third. The pass ball charged to Russell.
Russell's really frustrated with himself. Watch the reaction. He looks for the ball, misses it, slams his face mask down into the dirt.
Well, Perez now at third base with 1 out. The infield has to come in to try to cut down this run at the plate. That really improves the percentages in Orlando's favor. He already has 2 infield hits tonight.
You know, if you're the Blue Jays infield, you don't have to come all the way in. You can play it halfway because there's not a lot of speed at third base. So Sal Perez is getting some instructions from his third base coach how they want to play it. They'll probably play it, make the ball go through.
Two and two now to Orlando, the center fielder. Orlando played for Brazil in the 2013 World Baseball Classic. Kelvin Escobar. Herrera. I had Escobar.
You had flashbacks.
Herrera was touched up by Travis last night, gave up that home run. He took the loss in the game. He is filling in for the closer, Wade Davis, who's on the DL. Ground ball. Donaldson dives. He looks at Perez and throws out Orlando. Nice play at third. Let's check in with Jamie Campbell. The White Sox have a 3-2 lead as they are in the 7th in Chicago over the Orioles. Donaldson, even with the bag at third, guarding against a bunt. This is Raul Mondesi, who had a bunt single in the 5th. He had an RBI triple in the 6th, his first major league extra base hit.
Switch hitter. He's got some speed. Obviously, he knows how to play the game. He grew up around the game, the professional game, with his father playing all those years. I don't know a whole lot about him as a player, what he would do in this situation. I would expect that you got to respect his ability to maybe drop down a bunt right here. That's why Donaldson is playing in at third base. Tulowitzki has shortened up a little bit at shortstop. You can see him there playing on the dirt, respecting his speed.
Two and one now. Danny Barnes gave up a leadoff double in the 7th. He's given up a leadoff double here in the 8th, but he's trying to pitch around it. He stranded that base runner last inning. Mondesi will always have his name in the history books as he becomes the first player to make his major league debut in the World Series. That happened in Game 3 of the World Series against the Mets at Citi Field last year. Barnes strikes him out, so Danny Barnes knuckles down after a couple of leadoff doubles. We'll go to the 9th. The Blue Jays trail by 2. Honda Civic, the 2016 North American Car of the Year.
Last night, Devin Travis became the 4th player in modern Major League history to hit a leadoff home run and a game-winning homer with 2 outs in the final inning of the same game. Well, he leads off this game with another home run. No, this isn't a replay. This is Devin Travis driving the ball into the seats for his 10th home run and our drive of the game. Devin Travis put a charge into that ball.
Travis is the first Blue Jay to lead off back-to-back games with a home run since Jose Cruz Jr. did it in April of 2000. He did that against the New York Yankees. This is Kelvin Herrera making his 50th appearance. He lost the game last night because he gave up a home run to Devin Travis.
Yeah, he hadn't allowed a home run since June the 13th and just 2 all season before that home run by Travis. Tonight, different story. The Blue Jays are down by a couple instead of tied.
Two and 0. Herrera in last night's game threw 29 pitches, so he is right back on the horse again tonight. They don't have their closer on the active roster. Wade Davis is on the DL, and there's a strike. It's 2-1.
He had a strikeout. There was a great play by the shortstop, so 2 quick outs. Then the home run by Travis, and it seemed to unnerve him just a little bit. He walked Bautista, then he hit Donaldson, that ball that we saw earlier. He gave up an infield hit to Encarnacion, but then he settled down and struck out Michael Saunders. So you're right, 29 pitches in 1 inning. He's back out there tonight.
Here's the 2-1 on the ground. Escobar at short, takes his time, goes in the dirt. Nice scoop by Hosmer as he saves Escobar with that low throw. Now for a preview of what's coming up on Sportsnet Central. Here's Eric Thomas and Brendan Dunlop. Kevin Pillar has had a 2-hit night. He's 2 for 3, scored a run in the 5th. Herrera's got a big arm. He will throw fastball. He's touched 100. Last night, Devin Travis hit a 97-mile-an-hour fastball out of the ballpark for his home run.
Did you see his reaction after that, or you hear what he said after that? I blanked out. I don't know what happened right there. I just swung the bat, and the next thing I know, the ball is out of the ballpark.
This is popped up and playable for Hosmer. He drifts into foul territory. Makes the pitch. Blue Jays down to their last out. Justin Smoak is 0 for 3, couple of strikeouts. Blue Jays have managed just 2 runs on 5 hits. Devin Travis with both RBIs. The middle part of the Blue Jays order, Bautista, Donaldson, Encarnacion, and Martin have combined to go 0 for 14 tonight.
Shut down the middle, and we got a pretty good chance. The Blue Jays have had some pretty decent at-bats. Hit the ball hard, but they haven't had any luck. Still just 5 hits tonight and 2 more runs. Last time they have scored more than 4 runs, you got to go back over a week.
For 9 runs in a 9-1 win.
Back on July the 30th at home versus the Orioles.
Smoke stays alive. The Blue Jays have struck out 9 times tonight once again. Michael Saunders has grabbed the bat. He's out on deck if Smoke can keep the inning alive. Saunders will bat for Upton if Smoke can get on base. Smoky's putting up a battle.
Attaway, make him work. 29 pitches last night. Don't want to make it easy for him, just in case they need him tomorrow.
That's the ball game. Herrera retires the side in order, strikes out Smoke to end the ball game. The Royals snap their 3-game losing streak. The Blue Jays snap their 4-game win streak. The Royals put up a good offensive attack tonight. 4 runs on 11 hits. That was enough to beat the Blue Jays.
And Aaron Sanchez's 10-game winning streak is over thanks to the Royals. They put up 11 hits. They put the ball in play against Aaron and come away with a 4-2 win.
We'll be back for the series finale tomorrow. Thanks for watching. Stay tuned. Here's Sportsnet Central. Eric Thomas and Brendan Dunlop.